But we're going to start with a fight between the two El Clasico rivals trying to sign Rodri from Manchester City. This one could get tasty, and there I was wondering if we wouldn't have anything to talk about this morning, guys. So what's the latest on this, Chris?
Yeah, I think fight's a good word, isn't it? Especially when Jose Mourinho is involved. He used to have some good battles with Barcelona back in the day. But look, it looks like Barcelona now are set to approach Man City over the signing of Rodri, ahead of Real Madrid. And I say ahead of Real Madrid, but that's because Real have already been in talks with Man City for about the last week over sort of a proposed move for Rodri, about £50 million. That's what Real Madrid were prepared to pay. At the moment, the message that City are giving out is they've got no intention really of selling Rodri. They want him to sign a new contract. He's got a year left. We know how vital he's been for Man City down the years in that treble season. We saw it, like you said, for Spain as well. The best player of the tournament. He had his injury problems as of late, but still such an important player for Manchester City. But what it means now is that Real Madrid, they're considering their next move because there is a battle now. El Clasico, it started already between those two for Spain's best player, for Man City. He's one of their best players in the last few years. But the hesitation, I think, around the fee of Real Madrid has allowed Barcelona to kind of nip in. And at the moment, a lot of the reports are saying that Rodri is kind of favouring that move to Barcelona ahead of Real Madrid. There's still a lot to be done here because no fee's been agreed by either club. Both teams are still well in the race. But yeah, it's a really great transfer story to see how this is going to go over the next couple of weeks.
You could see this going right down to the wire, can't you, Stephen? I mean, if you were the player, he's Madrid-born, so something to factor. Where would you go? What would you do?
It's so hard. Like, you look at the squad Real Madrid have, the players, what they're bringing in, Diamonde, like you're literally playing with a list of the best players in the world. But then you look at Barcelona and how they play and how it suits the Spanish style of football, how they've just done well in the World Cup and Euros. That fits in the criteria of how Rodri plays. You know, bit of tiki-taki, very much ingrained in him from Pep, and you feel like that style of football may suit him more. But you just look at the list of players Real Madrid have at their disposal and who you get to play with and enjoy your football. So it's such a tough decision, but you just feel it's going to come down to him. It's going to be his decision now, whether if he has both of those teams on the hook, and which listen, most teams in the world will be on the hook for Rodri. He's incredible, and if you have those both sides, Spanish-born player, looking to the two biggest teams in world football almost, in Barcelona and Real Madrid, it's going to be down to what he feels is best suits him and his style and his family. And I don't know, for me, maybe Barcelona edges it just with the way they play and with the Spanish link and with the amount of players that are currently in that Spanish side. That seems like that's something. The Spanish teams in the past, the ones I played against with the Iniestas and Xavis and, you know, Busquets, all those teams had such a core of Spanish-based players, and the Spain team went on to do extremely well for years and years. This Spanish team seems to be very much Barcelona-built, and it seems similar, so maybe that might suit them.
It's fascinating. You mentioned those great Spanish teams, those great Barcelona teams. They all had mature players who knew how to almost see out a game. You remember Barca against Inter in that semi-final of the Champions League, and that sort of immaturity shone through. I mean, do they need him more than Madrid? And would Barca's playing style suit him more, Chris?
Well, look, let's have a look, because you talk about Rodri in the World Cup. You talk about, Stephen, you mentioned him playing alongside in that Spain team and with those Spanish players. Real Madrid actually criticised heavily last season for not having any Spanish players in the World Cup squad. But look, this is how Rodri got on in that World Cup. Look, just
he was
absolutely
flawless.
Streets clear in terms of. I mean, look, there's not even that many midfielders in that list. If you look at Kabassi and Mark Gahey there, and Laporte as well. Rodri, we know what he's done in the Premier League, but in terms of fitting into that Barcelona style of play, so many passes in the World Cup. And then if we compare that actually to last season as well, the two teams that we're talking about, passes per game, I mean, this is going to go up considerably if Rodri joins as well, Barcelona, I have to say. But Barcelona do pass the ball a lot more. They do keep the ball a lot more. Real Madrid played more of that counter-attacking style with the wingers that they have, with the centre midfielders that they have at the moment. Maybe that's why Real Madrid are looking at him, because you look at Camavinga and Tchouaméni, don't play that kind of passing game as much as Rodri does. So maybe that's why Jose Mourinho and the Real Madrid hierarchy are looking to get a bit more control into that midfield. But you ask me who he suits more at the moment, I think you have to say Barcelona.
I think that's the thing for me, though. If you're sitting, you're selling him, and you look at, I know they have Anderson, so they probably feel like they have a replacement there. But if you're looking to bring someone else in, if you sell him to Madrid, there's potential Camavinga too many that you maybe get the other way. And I love Camavinga. I think he's incredible. I know he's not had a great season this year, being left out of franchise, but I think anybody getting hold of him, 23 years of age, if you could do a deal where one of those comes the other way, which is potential. So for City, you're probably thinking, you're not going to take someone from Barcelona, whereas Madrid has a couple of players there that you feel we could try and get in that deal worked into it, and that would work out better for those.
Do you think it ever happens in football where, because Real Madrid have been the front runners, right? Do you think there's a chance that Barcelona have looked at that and gone, if they get Rodri, they're going to be they're going to get even closer to us? Do you think they might have gone, do you know what, let's be a bit cheeky here and try and even weaken Real Madrid?
You're not just looking at it as how can he improve us, it's a how can we stop them improving. Absolutely that has to happen in football, because you can improve as much as you want, but if your counterparts are improving on the scale that Real Madrid have, like look who they brought in, Cucurella, Dumfries, you look at Konaté's gone in the centre back, like they've just, and then you bring in a serial winner. I know he's got a lot of criticism and he's not at the level he was before, but when you bring in Jose Mourinho to the forefront, who manages talent and star players at a level that's what he's there for, that's what he's known for. So you're kind of feeling that adds a different dimension to them. So if you're Barcelona, you're thinking, well, how can we stifle them? Well, let's get the world's best player at the moment.
I wonder if Pep be on the phone to Rodri saying, go to Barca, don't go to Jose's Madrid. But it's fascinating, isn't it? Because Rodri, when you look at Manchester City, I know Anderson is this huge talent. We're all excited to see where he goes and how far he can progress. But they're polar opposites, as in one has got so much more match time and played in those huge games. But is it a calculated move for City to get that transfer fee now for 30-year-old Rodri?
Yeah, look, it's an interesting one because he's got a year left on his deal. So you think if they get a transfer fee now rather than lose him on a free, maybe that is a good calculation to make. And if we have a look actually at just Rodri's game time in the last few years and how that's differed and how that's gone down, maybe that's also something that's in the back of Manchester City's heads. You know, you look at the last few seasons, obviously 2024-25, where he had that ACL injury, just played the 3 games, but even before that, 33 in the Premier League, 36, 34, and then last season as well, if we skip that number 3, where he just played 21, his influence on Manchester City is definitely waning. It's still, I mean, look, if you compare it to someone like Kevin De Bruyne, who probably went through a similar thing where the appearances went down, but he was still so influential, I think that's what maybe Manchester City have to weigh up in a year where Pep Guardiola's not there. Even if Rodri plays 25 games rather than 36, 37, that could still get you just over the line, couldn't it? We saw when he came in at the end of last season, he played against Arsenal when they won. He had to drop out a little bit after that, but even if Rodri plays half your games, I don't know, Steve, do you think he could still make the impact and still get them over the line?
I think he's very hard to replace, and I think the level that he's played, like you could see, when he's not been at City, they've been a different side. They've not played the same level. The team look less confident, and if even if he's not playing, and as the World Cup went on, he felt like he was getting better and stronger, and you're kind of waiting to see the Rodri getting back to the levels that he was before he had his big injury, and you felt just towards the end of the World Cup he was getting to that stage where his tackling was ferocious, his passing, he was everywhere on the pitch, he was influencing the game, and you feel like he's back up to that level. So if fit Rodri, someone that can play 30 games a season for them, absolutely put them within real contention for winning the league again. But you're at that stage where he's 1 year left in his contract, he's had a major injury. Do you cash out on someone like that? And then you try and bring in the next player, someone like Anderson, to try and take on that mantle. But there's always been this kind of, Fernandinho, when he left, they wanted a replacement, and Rodri was the one that came in, and he was an upgrade, which is crazy to think he was. He was an upgrade on what Fernandinho was. They be hoping that Anderson is. Who knows what he's going to get to, but I don't know whether that's going to be an upgrade on the Ballon d'Or winner. But if he gets anywhere near the Rodri levels.
Well, it's such a shame because you almost want Rodri there to mentor him to get to his level. And even what he does, just walking around the training ground, walking in the dressing room, it's the presence of those mega stars. I mean, would they replace him? Who do they replace him with? I suppose they've got their replacement. But is he irreplaceable?
Yeah, in some sense he is. Like you said, for all that goes with it, you know, the wealth of trophies he has, he's now a World Cup winner, he's a European champion with his country, the confidence he brings that group. And like I said, as a player, when you have someone in your team that you know that makes everybody else around them better, that's huge. And that the confidence that just puts on the pitch, puts on the group, so everybody else will feel a few percent better knowing that he's on the pitch with them, regardless of what he's at. So you can't replace that. Anderson has to earn that when he goes in there. He has to earn that right. Listen, I think he was showed in the World Cup. I showed levels he was really impressive, and his energy as well, getting around the pitch. But it's the passing side of the game. It's the confidence. It's the knowing when to just put your foot on the ball and keep it. Rodri has that. Like he does it better than anybody. So it's extremely hard to replace. But listen, it's a new city, it's a new manager, it's a new team, new dimensions in how they play probably as well.
He's from there as well. And all right, well, what about Enzo Fernandez? Because there's an intriguing morning as well when it comes to him.
Yeah, look, I think this will be a knock-on effect if Rodri does eventually move to either, well, maybe not to necessarily to Real Madrid actually, because there's not been so many links with Fernandez and Barcelona. But if we think this transfer goes the way it's going to go, where Rodri chooses Barcelona and they get a deal done, that opens a place up for Manchester City in their midfield. And Enzo Fernandez has been someone who played really well under Enzo Maresca. Enzo Fernandez came out and said how disappointed he was when he left Chelsea. But it also means that Real Madrid will still have a midfield spot as well. And we know they've been linked with Fernandez in the past. They did come out earlier on in the summer and kind of deny those links. They said they're not interested. But we know how quickly things can change in football, and we don't know the reasons why they came out and said that. So Enzo Fernandez will be a really interesting one, just because of the relationship, like I said, between him and Maresca, and also the interest in the past that there has been with Madrid. And he's not been afraid to come out and publicly say that
he liked the city, didn't he?
We know what that means.
Yeah, we get it. What do you think about the possibility of that happening then, Stephen?
Yeah, like I said, there's always this kind of knock-on effect when something happens. So if he was to move, you would think the links between Maresca and Fernandez, that makes it seem like that's something, and it's just a fee. It's going to, like, I can't imagine Chelsea letting him go for anything less than what they spent for. They're going to want an improvement on that. So you're probably talking upwards of 100. They're going to spend more on him than Elliot Anderson, you would think, potentially, for a player that's, just been in the World Cup final again. Chelsea was almost 100 million they spent on him. So they're going to want that fee. I know if they get 50 million for Rodri, does that then mean it's a 55, 60 million pound fee on top of it? But you're buying two midfielders for over, they're doing what Spurs are. So I think they're probably getting levels slightly higher.